So, our last topic of the chapter is the sense of collective belonging. Nationalism spreads when people begin to believe that they all are the part of the same nation, when they discover some unity that binds them together. But how did the nation become a reality in the minds of the people? This sense of collective belonging came partially through the experiences of the united struggles, cultural processes through which nationalism captured people's imagination with the help of history and fiction, folklore and songs, popular prints and symbols. All these situations played a very important role in making of nationalism. So now children, let us describe these four different points one by one. The first comes the image, how the image was responsible to create the feeling of nationalism. The identity of nation is most often symbolized in the figure of image. As we say, India as an Bharat Mata. In the 20th century, the identity of India came to be visually associated with the image of Bharat Mata, which was first created by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay. In 1870, he wrote Vande Mataram as a hymn to the motherland. Later, it was included in his novel Anand Mat and widely sung during the Swadeshi movement in Bengal. Abhinendranath Tagore painted his famous image of Bharat Mata as an ascetic figure, as she is calm, composed, divine, and spiritual. In subsequent years, the image of Bharat Mata acquired different forms, circulated in the popular prints, and was painted by different artists. Devotion to this mother figure came to be seen as one's nationalism. Here you can see the image made by Abhindranath Tagore, in which he has presented Bharat Mata as an ascetic figure, as she is calm, composed, divine, and spiritual. Next topic comes Indian folklore. Even Indian folklores, जिसको आप कहते हैं लोक संगीत, Indian folklores also created the feeling of nationalism among the people. How? In late 19th century India, nationalists began recording folk tales sung by bards, and they toured villages together to gather folk songs and legends. They believed that these tales gave true picture of traditional culture that had been corrupted and damaged by the outside forces. And here outside forces they are recognizing as an colonialism, the Britishers, those who have had the colony over India. It was essential to preserve this folk tradition to discover one's national identity and restore a sense of pride in one's past. In Bengal, Rabindranath Tagore, he began collecting ballads, nursery rhymes and myths, and led the movement for folk revival. In Madras, Natesa Sastry published a massive four-volume collection of Tamil folk tales. The Folklore of Southern India was the name of the book, and he believed that the folklore was national literature. It was the most trustworthy manifestation of people's real thoughts and characteristics. Here you can see the picture of Rabindranath Tagore as well as the Natesa Sastry and his book named as Folklore in Southern India. Next comes the flags. How the flag created the feeling of nationalism in the minds of people. As the national movement developed, nationalist leaders became more and more aware of such icons and symbols in unifying people and inspiring them a feeling of nationalism. During the Swadeshi movement in Bengal, a tricolor flag with having red, green and yellow was designed. It had eight lotuses representing 8 provinces of India, British India, and a crescent moon representing Hindus and Muslims. By 1921, Gandhiji had designed the Swaraj flag. It was given a tricolor red, green, and white and had a spinning wheel in the center, representing the Gandhian idol of self help. Carrying the flag, holding it aloft during the marches became a symbol of defiance. And people proudly used to carry this flag. This created the feeling of nationalism among the people. Our next topic is history. Another means of creating a feeling of nationalism was through reinterpretation of history. By the end of the 19th century, many Indians began feeling that to instill a sense of pride in the nation, Indian history had to be thought about differently. The British saw Indians as backward and primitive, incapable of governing themselves. In response, Indians began looking into the past to discover India's great achievements. So, they wrote about the glorious development in the ancient times when art and architecture, science and mathematics, religion and culture, law and philosophy, crafts and trade had flourished. And this glorious time, in their view, was followed by a history of decline when India was colonized by the Britishers. And these nationalist histories urged the readers to take pride in India's great achievements in the past and struggle to change the miserable condition of life under the British rule. These efforts to unify people were not without problems. When the past being glorified was Hindu, when the images celebrated were drawn from the Hindu iconography, then people of the other communities felt left over. So it was not at all easy, it was not at all so simple to create the feeling of nationalism among each and every community of the country. So, children, here we wind up with this chapter, Nationalism in India.